look at all these colors. We're gonna make vegetable soup. Actually, just any soup base. You can do what you want from there. I have right here in this big bowl my homemade veggie broth. It should be enough. I may have to add a little bit more water. And I also have the start of mostly any soup or any sauce. It's some onions, celery, and carrots. You can use any onion you want. If you want to use a yellow onion, a sweet onion. I like shallots. I like the way they cook up. And generally, if I cut them fine enough, or if I use my chopper, I can get them so small so that when they cook down in the recipe, my daughter won't pick them out. She loves the flavor. She doesn't like the shallots. Now, I do have another sweet potato video that's also attached. So I talk about a lot of the same things. I don't want to cover a lot of the same points. So make sure you go watch that video. We talk about adding beans, adding rice, and adding whatever you want to your soup. This one, we're gonna do just the basics. And for years, I used to start it with olive oil or butter or any type of fat to saute the onions and the garlic down in. But truly, you don't need it. It is good to start the onions up by themselves, onions and garlic. So I'm looking for my garlic press and my onions. Just want to get the pan a little warm here and get it started. I'm going to just put a touch of broth down at the bottom, just a touch. And that'll get the onions nice and soft. And then we'll add in some other veggies and we'll just keep building from there. Get my garlic in. I like my soup pretty garlicky, so I usually use a couple cloves or one ginormous clove. And this is a small soup. You can definitely make larger, double, triple the quantity. If you have a lot of broth that you want to use up, you can make some soup, freeze it. I think that's enough garlic. And we'll put in a lot of marinara sauces also start with these ingredients. Oh goodness, I think I went through this before. A family member, which is too difficult to describe our relationship. She's pure Italian, grew up on a big farm, had her own cows, drank raw milk, and she knows all the wonderful recipes from her grandmother, great-grandmother, and they passed down. So she gave me a lot of tips, and I'm not allowed to share any of the actual recipes, but I can share similar versions. They're old family secrets, so she swore me to secrecy. But we've made homemade red sauce together, and it starts a lot like this. You saute down your vegetables, and then you add a lot of tomatoes instead of broth and vegetables. But you can start any sauce this way. If you wanted to make it a red sauce, if you want to make it a soup, go for it. Be creative. All right, let's get this pot going here. Start sauteing down our veggies. I put my vegetables in with not a lot of broth because you want to get them cooked pretty quickly. Once you add the broth, it's going to take a long time to soften. So these vegetables, which you generally want, al dente, you don't want them soft so that they're just mush, but you also don't want them very, very hard. Usually there's another star of the show that you want to add in later, whether it's going to be a bean soup, a chicken soup. You can also use the same method and add some cooked chicken. Personally, I don't like adding raw chicken to it. If you know a great recipe, do that. What I'll usually do is if there's leftover chicken at the house, I'll take some scraps and we'll make a soup that way. If you want to make a chicken rice soup, chicken bean soup, play with it. Soups are a great way to clean out the fridge. So if you have a little bit of vegetables left and you just want to kind of get everybody cooked up, go for it. Okay, so we softened up our onions, carrots, and celery. in the rest of my broth. There was probably 3 cups of broth in there. And I'm going to turn this, coincidentally enough, into a sweet potato soup. We're actually going to make a blended sweet potato soup. Again, at this point, you can do whatever you want. If you want to add extra liquid and put grains in, just remember that grains are going to absorb so much of that liquid. So if you want it, it's going to be more like a stew. You can add chunks of potato and meat and make it into a stew. You can add some beans at the very end. You can add lentils and cook them in the broth. You can do so many different things. But one thing I haven't done is made a blended soup. So coincidentally, unfortunately, for maybe variety reasons, it's going to be another sweet potato soup. Happen to have a bunch sitting around. So I want to use up what I have because number 1 rule is wasted food costs a heck of a lot of money. So what I'm going to do is put this in now. Now you can make tomato soup at this point too. And what we're going to do is cover and simmer this baby. Once the... Oh, you know what I didn't do? I'm going to add a little bit more flavor. I'm going to add a bay leaf. And I'm going to add about a half a palmful of poultry seasoning. I talk in my other video as well that you can add individual spices. I have a lot of this poultry seasoning, and for my daughter who happens to really like chicken and chicken flavored dishes, probably because I ate too much chicken while I was pregnant, add a little salt, helps bring out some of the flavors, and some pepper. Anyway, she likes chicken flavor, chicken soup. She likes that flavor. So if I put the chicken seasoning, the chicken flavors, and it just kind of emulates a chicken soup. So the poultry seasoning is just spices that go well on poultry. You usually use them on Thanksgiving. You can use them in stuffings, anything. Thyme, sage, marjoram, rosemary, black pepper, and nutmeg. So you have all your spices. And what's also nice about that is they're crushed down a little bit. So your rosemary isn't whole. You don't have to crush the rosemary down. And this baby can cook for a while. We're going to put a lid on it and we'll be back. Is that the right lid? I don't think so. Let's get the right lid. Yeah. Is that the right lid? Well, that'll work for now. Put a lid on it, it keeps the steam in, bring it up to a boil, and then maybe lower it so that it's just at a simmer. Cook it until your sweet potatoes are at the temperature and the thickness, al dente texture that you want. So pierce them and check them, and then we'll finish it up in a little bit.